Also, I just realized something. Remember yesterday I told you guys about the Standee lore? Let me take a picture. I just realized this. So my dad came by this morning because I needed some help. I think he saw the clip. I think he saw the clip of us talking about, or maybe not clip, but I guess he watches the stream. I'm not sure anymore. I just noticed because I looked to my side to like check something. I guess he must have watched my stream. Remember I told you guys his OSHI is Mata? And he wanted to put Mata in the front. And I said no because it'll cover my ventilation. And I don't want my computer to possibly overheat. Or like the Standee to overheat. And cause problems. This is what he did. He brought Kuro like this because I don't know. I didn't ask him. I didn't notice. And then there's just Mata, right? Like when I look, the first thing I see is Mata. I need you to see this maybe from my perspective because I took a picture from a bit high up, but let me try and take a picture from like this is what I see when I look to the right. Okay, here. This is how I see it from my perspective. The first thing I saw just now when I looked to my right was this picture. Can you tell who my dad's OSHI is? Can you tell? Yeah, there's a Mousy behind and there's Kuro behind Mousy. I can't even see Kuro from my perspective. I have to like lean back to see that Kuro exists.
300. I mean, your dad is not wrong, is he based?
Yeah, my dad likes Mata a lot, as you can tell. Surely his daughter. Well, to be fair, I'm not there. Maybe if I have a Standee already, then my dad would do it. But for now, because I don't have a Standee, then Mata it is. Hag maxing. Chat, I don't know how old you think my dad is. Okay, but I can guarantee I am made up out of 6 people. Okay, I've been dead before. My dad is significantly older. My age and Mata's age, well, whatever. Lore-wise, okay? Lore-wise, my dad is older, I'm pretty sure. Ish, you know? I think my dad just really likes, like... The thing is, my dad is pretty old, right? And I don't know if this is very common, but usually older guys, like really old guys, like back in the day, it's weird for a guy to like the color pink, right? Like if you're a guy and you like the color pink, that's a bit weird, you know? And people will be like, you like the color pink? That's a little, But I think my dad has always liked the color pink. But he never tells anyone. Yeah, it used to be. It used to be like, if you're a boy and you like the color pink, you're not a boy! Like that. But I think my dad has always liked the color pink, but he kept it to himself until like recently, because my favorite color is purple. Right? So my dad would like to go shopping with me. And he doesn't like to go shopping usually, but he likes going shopping with me. And I'd always be like, oh my god, I love this color. And it's always like either purple or pink, or either one of them. And at first I remember this. When I was younger, my dad's like, oh yeah, pink looks good on you. But eventually now my dad's like, oh my god, that pink is so pretty. You know? And he would like buy me pink. It went from like buying me gifts that are pink in color. And then eventually he did admit he does like the color pink. He said it's pleasing to the eye. So I think he might like Mata because Mata is like this pretty, what is it, like pale pink color? He's taking his time, you know? He's not as bad as he used to be. Like back then, he used to be very like Asian dad. Very, very Asian dad. And I don't mean this as like insulting or anything, but if you're like born and raised in Asia and you have like traumatized strict parents, right? Asian dad is very like domineering, but not in a nice way. Like he's very controlling. He used to be very controlling. It's either his way or not at all. And very like trying to be macho. He's like, oh, you know, you have to, if you're a boy, then you can't play with dolls. If you're a boy, you have to have boy friends, not girl friends. If you're a guy, you're not allowed to like the color pink. You're not allowed to cry. You're not allowed to laugh. Like he was so emotional. Like I mean, no, he was so emotionless, right? Boy space friends that are boys. Oh my god. But he's always like that. The plus point though, he has a very big, like, Asian dads have a very big provider's mentality. So he's always like, you know, the men have to be the breadwinners of the family. Kind of a thing. So I remember the plus point is even when he's really, really sick, he will always like force himself to go to work because in his head it's like the men are the breadwinners. The minus point is when it comes to the women. But I understand because he has a very like old and strict work ethic. He always like women stay home and clean and cook. Men go work like that. Right, like the minus point is there was a phase where he's like, when I was younger, he would make my brother like go and like learn more, and I would be the one that has to like clean up and tidy up and do chores and shit. My brother doesn't have to. I can't say this by only zoning into one perspective, right? Yes, that is like considered sexist now, but back in the day, that's how it worked. Because whether you like it or not, back in the day, it is so much harder and more dangerous for women, at least in my area, to go to work because we were literally in the middle of like war. Like we just came out of war, so riots were still happening because people are like, oh, now that we're independent, we don't want certain people in our country like that. And then there's like, riots. So it's so much more dangerous for women to go outside and go to work, especially for like work that requires you to interact with people. It's so much more dangerous. So usually the women have to stay home because they don't have a choice, and the men go work because it's not dangerous for them. It's better now though, significantly better. Like equality is better now. But my dad used to be very, very strict, very emotionless. Like he would tell my brother, like my brother used to also cry a lot, and I also cry. And I remember when I was younger, my brother would be like, why is it okay if older sister cries, but when I cry, I get punished? And my dad's like, because you're a boy. And yeah, everything has its plus and minus. I cannot be like, oh my god, traditional mentality sucks ass all the way. Like my dad is very dependable. You know, like if we need money, no matter if he's sick, he doesn't care if he's gonna like, he needs to go out and it's dangerous outside, he will work, he will get that money. He's very like dependable for that aspect. But he will also raise my brother like not to cry and all that, you know. But then as time goes by, he's like softer now. I think I got closer to my dad for sure. Like I wasn't close with my dad at all. Actually, when I was growing up, I wasn't close with my parents because my dad would be working, and then eventually my mom had to work too because we couldn't afford anything with just my dad's money. So my mom would also help my dad, and I had a lot of school, and I had a lot of extra classes, and I had a part-time job. So I didn't really spend a lot of time with them. The only times I can remember is once every couple of months, me and my dad would go fishing, which was pretty fun. Like we'd go fishing together at like a nearby lake. And then I remember scooping up tadpoles with like a plastic cup. That is like the most common Indonesian memory ever. Everyone has tried scooping tadpoles or baby fish during rainy season. Like that is so... I did that quite often, and I would keep them in my little cup. Yeah, like we don't play with the mud or anything, but we scoop up grasshoppers too. We would catch grasshoppers, or during rainy season when everything is slightly flooding, we would like go to the nearby like ponds and stuff and see if there's any like tadpoles or baby fish, and we'd scoop it up with a plastic cup. That was so fun for me. And yeah, I would go fishing with my dad, and it was really nice. But aside from that, we don't spend that much time. It was to the point that I don't remember, like I didn't remember their names until I was like in middle school, because I had to write their name over and over on like paper, but I didn't remember their names until I was like unironically middle school. Like we don't talk. We have nothing in common. Like, me and my parents, until today, we have nothing in common. Okay? Like, what I like and my personality is quite different from how their personality is. But then, as I grew older, you start to realize, you know, like, your parents, at least for mine, like, I realized that my parents were not bad people. They are just raised worse. So they turn out this way. Like, they still hold on to traditional mindsets and stuff like that. And it's not their fault, you know, like this is how they were raised. They're just kind of mirroring what they went through. And then obviously it wasn't that easy, but I did realize that. And then we had a lot of fighting. We fought a lot, especially when I was in like middle school, high school, because I was going through puberty, and then my mental state was so fucked up, right? Like puberty and then undiagnosed problems kind of like went hand in hand, and then it was not that good. So we fought a lot, but at one point it was genuinely like we both agreed to disagree. I don't know how it happened, I forgot, but like we both, like me and my parents just agreed that like we are different and that's okay. Agree to disagree. And then we got closer after that. I don't know. Like I was just more open to them. And then they were more open to me, and we got closer, and then I got closer to my dad. And ever since I got closer to my dad, he started like opening up more. I remember the first time, oh my god, maybe I am about to go get my period because I'm about to cry. I don't know if my dad knows this, but it meant a lot to me. I saw my dad cry for the first time. But yeah, I saw my dad cry for the first time. Like, I remember it was just me and him. It was really late at night, and we were like, we grabbed like takeaway. So at that time, like we grabbed takeaway, but then we decided to like eat on the side of the road because we're hungry already. So we're like, okay, let's just sit here. It's like late at night. Let's just sit here and then we eat and we talk. So then we were eating alone. Like my mom and my brother wasn't there, just me and my dad. And then he started opening up about a lot of things, like about how he was raised and like the pressure he felt, etc. Especially during like the post-war situation. It was very difficult. And the thing is, right, my dad supports his family and my mom supports her family. So our family will try to support, like, you know, my grandparents basically. And at that time, my dad was the only one that had like, no one is pressuring him. It's just he has it in his own head, you know, like in his head he needs to take care of his own dad, like my granddad. So it was a lot of pressure because he had to take care of his own family, but also his own dad. And he didn't have enough money, blah, 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 blah. Like, he was opening up about a lot of things. And then I was just listening, and I was like, damn, that's a lot of shit. You know, like, I thought that, obviously, I was a teen, okay? But as a teenager, right, you feel like you are going through a lot. And I'm telling you, 50% of it is true, 50% of it is hormones. Like, don't beat yourself up over feeling this way. It's completely fine. But at that time, I felt like I was going through so much. And then I hear my dad's story and I was like, bro, I'm gonna be so real. If I were you, I'd give up. Like, that's so much shit on your plate. And then I asked him, like, the only thing I said back, I was like, damn, that's a lot. Who did you talk to during this time? Right? Because when I'm going through stuff, I talk to my friends. Nowadays, I talk to my family as well. But back then, it's just mostly my friends. It's like, who did you talk to at that time? Like, who's your friend? And my dad's like, no one. You don't talk to people about this. And I was like, why? And he's like, because you're a man. Like, that's always his response. He's like, you don't cry because you're a man. So he's like, you don't talk to I didn't talk to anyone about this. I was a guy. Like, my image, you know? Like, if I... Like, and then that's when it clicked to me, and I was like, holy shit, it matters so much to him. Like, his image matters so much. Because he's like, if I were to open up about my struggles and the fact that I was struggling with it, then people will see him less of a man, and people might see him as less dependable, and then he doesn't want that. So he doesn't, like, open up. And then I was like, you just told me. So I'm very happy that you told me then, because that must have been, like, on you for years. You know, like, he's never told anyone. I was like, that must be on you for years. Like, I'm glad you opened up eventually. And then he's like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, doesn't it feel nice? I still see you as very dependable. You know, like, if anything, like, I respect you more now that I see you in this way because you're more human to me, right? But I said in Indo, obviously. But in Indo, it's shorter. I basically just said, like, I still respect you. If anything, like, I respect you more. And, like, how do you feel about it? And then my dad started talking about it. He's like, at first, he was like, meh, I don't feel any difference. He was like, I don't feel any difference. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't affect me at all. Like, I did what I had to do. It doesn't affect me. Blah, blah. And I was like, okay. You know? Like, thank you so much for everything you've done for the family. I really appreciate it. And then my dad's like, yeah, I'm glad. And I was like, yeah. Like, it took a while, but I was like trying to hammer down the fact that I really appreciate his effort and everything he's done. Like, I was like repeating that. And he's just like, yeah. Yeah. And then he started crying after like a couple of times. He just started like this is so the way I can say it, but like he looked down like to his food, right? And we were eating with our hands because that's very common. Like, you would use your hands to eat. So he would look down, and then he used like the back of his hand to like wipe his face. And I was like, are you okay? And he's like, oh yeah, no, the chili went into my nose. The chili went to my nose. And I was like, oh man. I didn't point out the fact that I knew he was crying, but I knew. I'm not stupid. Like, he doesn't find spice. Like, he has a high spice tolerance, and I've never seen him like that. So I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, I love you a lot, Dad. And he's like, I love you too. I was like, damn. That was also the kind of like, from what I remember, that was during one of the first times I kind of heard my dad said that. Because in our family, we do love each other, but we don't say I love you. You know, like, you don't say I love you. You treat them with love, but you don't say it. So that was the first time I kind of go like, I love you, Dad. And he's like, I love you too. Because I say I love you a lot. Like, I'm very like, I love you so much. As you can notice, I say that to a lot of people. But my dad is not very generous with saying I love you. You got scammed. And then he just changed. Now he's very relaxed. Like, still strict, but more relaxed than he used to be. Back then, he used to be very, very, very controlling. Now he's like, okay. He's like, he'll take time. You know, if I'm like, I don't want to do it the way you want to do it, he will sit there, be quiet, and he's like, okay. You can see in his eyes that he disagrees with you. Like, I'll be like, I want to do it my way. And he's like, okay, do it the bad way. Like, you can tell he wants to say that. Like, the words are coming, like, it's slipping out of his mouth. You know, he's so close to being like, yeah, do it the worst way. Whatever. But then he doesn't say it, but you can tell that's how he's feeling. But I respect it. It's so much better. At least he lets me try. That's such a dad thing. Yeah, at least he lets me try now, which is not bad. One thing I really like, one of the changes I really like about my parents now is they don't hold it against me if I do try, because I'm a very curious person. Like, I like to fuck around and find out, you know? If you tell me like, Michi, fire is hot and it will hurt you. Like, fire will burn you because it's hot. I don't believe you until I touch it myself. Yeah, I'm like that kind of person. You know, I would be like, what if you're just saying that because you're lying? So I will touch fire and I'm like, OMG, fire is hot and it will burn me. Who knew? I don't, like, that's the kind of person I am. So back then, a lot of our conflict, at least the ones that like affected me a lot, was because of that. Like, I want to fuck around and find out. I want to discover the world through my own like senses, you know? Like, I want to feel it and I want to see it and I want to experience all these mistakes and experience everything. And my parents are like, they hate the fact that I do it and they think I'm like rebelling, even though that's like the only way I'll learn. Because if I don't do it myself, I just like, my brain doesn't get satisfied for some reason. I don't know, I'm stupid. Okay, I'm a little stupid. So we had a lot of fights because of it, because my parents are like, you are just purposely rebelling against us. And every time I mess up, my parents, instead of like trying to help me or like comfort me, they will like give me the cold shoulder for days. Like, if I get myself hurt, they'll be like, then you sort it out. You do it yourself. Like, they would give me the cold shoulder. And it's fine because it teaches me, you know, like, it teaches me like there is consequences to your actions. But I also felt quite lonely. Nowadays, if I mess up, my parents would tell me like, it's okay. You can always come back to us. We will always support you no matter what, you know. You are free to fuck around and find out, but you always have a home. And I really, really appreciate that. I think that really helped me, especially during my like therapy session. Like, that really helped me become the person I am, because now I'm not as negative. I think I would be so much more jaded if my parents didn't change.